Hello and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and it's that time of the month for a book haul, which, considering I was technically on a book buying ban, we have failed at that. But I have to admit, most of these books were bought with book vouchers, so it doesn't technically count. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Anyway, let's get to the books. So one book which I didn't actually buy, but my mum read and enjoyed and so given it to me to try, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is a book that I've seen around on Instagram an awful lot with a lot of good praise about it. It's one where I think it's more of a portal fantasy again, where you can go to this library and... hang on a minute, let me actually read it. Nora's life has been going from bad to worse. Then, at the stroke of midnight on her last day on Earth, she finds herself transported to a library. There she is given the chance to undo her regrets and try out each of the other lives she might have lived. Which raises the ultimate question, with infinite choices, what is the best way to live? Oh, okay, so not so much portal fantasy, but it's got that kind of vibe to it where it's similar to other books that I have been interested in reading, where it's all about going into these different worlds and seeing what's there, but instead of that you're going into your life and seeing how your choices would have affected how your life turned out. Seems like an interesting one. It's only a short read. Mom liked it and said, you know, give it a try. So that is what I will be doing. Then with some vouchers, I did get the mammoth that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. Susanna Clarke is an author who I'd never tried before and was a bit hesitant, but after reading Piranesi, which is her most recent work, which is a lot smaller than this, I really enjoyed it. I really liked the writing style, and so I was like, well, if I have liked that, I'm probably going to like this. So I thought I would give it a try, but I am terrified because it is huge. It is a massive book, and this just reminds me of The Night Circus because it's these two magicians that are kind of in this battle with one another, and I believe it spans quite a long period of time. I will say Erin Morgenstern and Susanna Clarke, both their plotlines and that seem very similar to one another, but I've enjoyed both their books because they've both done two books, and I've enjoyed both of Erin Morgenstern's, which is The Night Circus and Starless Sea, and I've enjoyed Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. So it's time to read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, but I am a bit terrified. Though I actually kind of want to read it in like the colder weather months because I just feel like it's going to be a perfect book to sit down and curl up to with a hot drink and just delve into it. So I do plan on actually reading this probably in the winter months. But let me know if you've read it, if you've enjoyed it. I've heard so many people have absolutely adored this book, and I'm excited to give it a try. And then one I've picked up recently is Othello by William Shakespeare, and this is the manga classic version. I love these manga classics. I definitely want to collect them all. I think they're brilliant. It is basically just taking our classic stories and plays and putting them into a manga format, which I think is a brilliant way to allow classics to be so much more accessible to people, and it's something I wholeheartedly support. I love classics, but I do know that they can be very difficult and daunting to get into, and I feel like having these manga classics are a great way to kind of bridge that gap. So I'd want to collect more of these, and this is one that I saw, and I've been wanting to get Othello for a little while because I haven't read the play, so I thought actually why not give it a try with this, and obviously I will be getting it in the actual play format eventually. But yeah, super excited. I definitely want to collect the rest of these. And then I kind of went at the same time as buying Othello, the manga classic, I went on a bit of a classics buy and binge. So I also picked up The Valley of Fear by Arthur Conan Doyle. This is the third book, I believe, in the order to read the Sherlock Holmes stories. Very excited. Don't need to say much more than that. It is a Sherlock Holmes story. It's a murder mystery, classic, absolutely adore it. And I am getting the English library editions because I just think they're so beautiful and colourful and just think a bit different. And at the same time as buying that, I also bought the Iliad by Homer. I am so excited to read this. I've read so many retellings of this period, such as Madeline Miller's Song of Achilles. That was absolutely beautiful. This is all centred around the Battle of Troy and Achilles and everything that happened there. So I'm really excited to read this. It is a more poem format, which is something I haven't read before, but it's something I'm so excited to actually delve into. It's one that I was nervous to read, I'll be honest, but I think I just need to get over that and just enjoy this book. So I'm so excited to read it. There was a few different editions to choose from, and all the editions are translated slightly differently. So I went through all of them and picked up the one that I connected to the most, which was this Oxford World Classic translated by Anthony Verity. So I'm really excited to read this. I actually want to get to it soon. And then one that I've been wanting to get but been struggling to find until I went to Gower Street Waterstones, which is where I got all of these classics from. They have an amazing selection of classics, mangas, graphic novels. It's a beautiful Waterstones. But I managed to find Notre Dame de Paris, which is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. I am really excited to read this one. It is meant to be such a brilliant depiction of romance and how terrible it can go and the things it can cause people to do. I would love to actually have read it during October, but my TBR for that is already picked out. So if I get time, I will squeeze it in this month. Otherwise, it's definitely going to be one that I'm going to be reading in November. It's one that I've been wanting to read for quite a while and was just struggling to find a copy of it. And now I have, and I'm so excited for this one. I think it's going to be such a good time. If you don't know, Hunchback of Notre Dame was a Disney film that I watched while I was growing up, all about this man who is deformed, who is kept hidden away in the cathedral, I believe it is. He ends up meeting this woman who he falls in love with and earns his devotion, called Esmeralda. Now the man that has saved Quasimodo, who is the hunchback, is a very cruel person and he wants Esmeralda for himself, and so you have this tangle of lives and romance and everything that's being caught up in it, and it was one of my favourites growing up because you could feel the darker current to it even in the Disney film, and so I'm super excited to actually read the classic and really delve into that. And I think it's going to be a good one, maybe as a potential gothic literature recommendation, depending on how it goes. I'm not sure, but I'm super excited to try it. Okay, and then back to using up some of my points that I had on my Waterstones card, and we have Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This is another chunky book. I got it at the same time as getting Jonathan Strange and Miss Norrell, and the cashier was just like, wow, you're confident, and I was just like, yeah, slightly regretting it. But this is another one that I'm super excited for. This is actually set in the same time period as The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. Now, if you'd been watching my vlogs a little while back, you would know that I fell in love with the Tudor time period, really enjoyed the historical fiction of it, and at the same time, BBC were putting on this 3-part series where it was all about the Boleyn family and their rise and fall in English history. So I was just loving it, really wanting to get more information about that era, and although their historical fiction works, it still takes place at that same time, and I'm always interested to see how authors depict it, and this is exactly the same as that. So it's taking place at the time of the rise of the Boleyn family, but we are following it from Thomas, I think it's Cromwell, and he is the person that brought about the fall of the Boleyn family, which is just so interesting. So I really can't wait to read what happened from his perspective. Again, obviously this is all embellished, but I don't care, I'm loving it, and yeah, very excited to read more on this period. So excited. So if you have any other Tudor period recommendations, let me know in the comments below, because it's definitely an era that I'm interested in reading more historical fiction works. Okay, one that I found for an absolute bargain price, which I was so pleased with, is How to Kill Your Family by Bella McKee. Now I will admit, I bought it for the cover. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely adore this colour pink. I thought the black writing just stood out so well, and I think it's great. And I literally just read the bit on the back which goes, kill my family, make a claim on their fortune, get away with the above, adopt a dog. I mean, it just sounds like a fun read, and what sealed the deal for me, which I did mention in my vlog, so I apologise if you've watched that, I'm rehashing it all, but it literally, on the opening bit, says a William Shakespeare quote from Macbeth, and I read Foul is Fair by Hannah Cappin and absolutely loved that, and that was a take on Macbeth but from the Lady Macbeth's perspective, and it was so interesting. It was all done in contemporary format, but it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it, and so seeing that quote just makes me think, is this another Macbeth retelling? Because I am here for that. Like 100%. So this book I feel like could absolutely be amazing if it fulfills that, or so disappointing if it doesn't have anything to do with that. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how I actually like this book, but either way I adore the cover. I think it's brilliant. Okay, and then using up the very last of my points, so I have no points left on my Waterstones card at all, and I managed to get The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I've been so excited to get this one. I've been wanting to get it for ages, but because of lockdown there was just a problem in actually getting it from a bookshop, and even Amazon, like, I just couldn't get it anywhere. I was so frustrated. And then I saw it in my local Waterstones and I was like, oh, that's coming home with me today. So yeah, I'm excited. It is literally pretty much what it says on the cover. It is all about a book club that discovers that there is a vampire in their little American suburban town, and so they go about trying to destroy it. It is a horror. I've read Grady Hendrix's other book, which is Horror Store, and I absolutely adored that book. There is My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I'm not sure if I'm going to read or not. I think I'm going to read this one, and if I really like it, I'm then just going to pick up everything that he's done, because I'm not a massive horror reader apart from horror classics. So having a modern day horror, there are only certain authors I will read horror books from. I really enjoyed Horror Store. Like, it was horror and it was gory in places, but it wasn't too much. So it was definitely something that I could actually read. So I want to give this one a try, because this is the one that I originally wanted to get. See how I like it, and if I still really enjoy this one, then I will try his other two works. So yeah. And then finally were two very cheap purchases, and that was two comics. These are super cheap. They were like $2.50 each, and that is Extraordinaries Volume 2 and Volume 3. Now, I've already read Volume 2. I read that in the beginning of September. Was really enjoying it, just felt like picking up a comic, and so binge read this. And then I found Extraordinaries Volume 3 in the shop, so I was very excited to get these. And yeah, these are a background story to one of the characters that you meet in the second book of her villains duology, which is Vicious and Vengeful. Now, I really enjoyed Vicious. I thought it was a brilliant book. You have these morally gay characters, and there are these two boys that are going to school together that decide to do an experiment to see if extraordinaries, so people with gifts, are real or not. But the only problem is, to do that you have to die and then be brought back to life. They succeed, and then in the second book they are very estranged from each other, and you meet one of the characters in here, and this comic series is looking into how she got tangled up with these two boys, which I really do enjoy. And yeah, I'm loving that. I think it's really good. I have 4 of them at the moment, because they came out with Extraordinaries 0.1, which was like the prequel to the comics, and then you had Extraordinaries Volume 1, which was a kind of just a rehash of the first book, just given a quick overview in comic format, which I thought worked really well. And then Volume 2, and now Volume 3. So I need to read Volume 3, and I think Volume 4 is due to come out next month. I'm not sure. I just tend to go into Forbidden Planet once a month, and they tend to have a new issue out, so that's what I'm doing until I finish it. Absolutely loving that V. Schwab is creating works in different formats. She's also done a prequel to the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy in graphic novel format, so I'm just loving these. I think they're absolutely great, and they're such cheap, quick reads. It's perfect. So there we have it. That's it for this month, which honestly isn't that bad. I think I physically bought like 5 of them, which, okay, more than that, but anyway, the point is, I'm really happy with all of these, and as much as, yes, I am on a ban, it's more just restricting myself so I don't go out and buy books every single week, which was definitely what I used to do. Instead, this has been an accumulation over the course of about 8 weeks, which really isn't that bad for me. It is working in slowing down, but I am going to try and now not buy any books until Christmas, because I always ask for books or vouchers for Christmas, because it's something that I love to do. And so I will hopefully not be having any more books till then, and probably just go on an ultimate binge after Christmas once I've got vouchers and stuff, if I get them. So yeah, that is the plan. Whether it works or not, I guess we'll see as to whether I end up doing another one of these book haul videos. So do let me know, what's a book that you've recently got, or what's a book you're really excited to hoping to get? Are you on a book buying ban? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it that thumbs up and subscribe. Comment to let me know that you're here. Social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.